Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh. Yeah, 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 yeah. Faith without works is dead. I don't wanna die so soon. I got moves to make instead. I ain't scared, I'm prepared. Big ideas inside my head. I'm gonna make them manifest. And I'm dressed for success. Left, right. Order my steps. Network, I ain't gotta do it by myself. Who you know, show me who you know. Better let them know we bout to blow. It's time to go, go, go. Yeah, 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 yeah. Go to work, get to work, yeah. Go to work, yeah. Go to work, get to work, yeah. Go to work, yeah, 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 yeah. I ain't tryna trade my time, yeah. Simply wanna show you what I'm worth, yeah. Daily I'ma stay on my ground. Have a little faith and go to work. Yeah, 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 yeah. Go to work. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm alright every day, 'cause I want everything. I can do anything. Check my resume. There's people against you. They see what you've been through. But look in the mirror, tap into your spirit. There's power within you. Like LinkedIn, I'm locked in, get the job done when I clock in. I weighed out my options, put the work in, that's action, no lacking, just stacking. Big dreams I'm attracting, no accidents, that's fate. Just go in and have a little faith. Faith without works is dead. I don't wanna die so soon. I got moves to make instead, I ain't scared, I'm prepared. Big ideas inside my head, I'm gonna make them manifest. And I'm dressed for success. I left, right, order my steps. Network, I ain't gotta do it by myself. Who you know, show me who you know. Better let them know we bout to blow. It's time to go, go, go. Go to work, get to work, yeah. Go to work, yeah. Go to work, get to work, yeah. Go to work, yeah, 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 yeah. I ain't tryna trade my time, yeah. Simply wanna show you what I'm worth, yeah. Daily I'ma stay on my ground, yeah. Have a little faith and go to work. Yeah, 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 yeah. Go to work. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, now go nuts.
Hey there, I'm Trevor Houston, the creator of the Who You Know Summit, and I'd like to welcome you to the Who You Know Job Networking Show.
On our program, we'd like to show you a job search like you've never seen.
Everything from getting noticed by employers, how to properly format your resume, and how to network effectively using LinkedIn to drive recruiters to your profile.
We even take suggestions from our amazing community.
So if you want to learn all things job search, go ahead and subscribe now.
Focus! It's all about the job search. So if you want to learn how to land that next success, you heard them. All you got to do is subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss out on a thing. Welcome to the Who You Know Job Networking Show, where what you know is important, but
Who you know? Who you know can make all the difference in your job search.
it definitely can. We got an amazing jam-packed session for you today. This is our Media Blitz show. We've got channels paired up all over the place, going worldwide, all over the internet. So I'm super excited about this episode because we've got a lot of speakers here. And we got a lot of mic drops. Okay, we're going to be dropping mics all over the place. So I'm super pumped about that. But who do we got in the audience? Mark, who do you got?
I got Paul Haggerty and Sean Welsh. Hey, guys. Great to have you joining us.
Foster, who do you see?
You know, I see hope.
Hope.
You can't get along without hope.
That's so true.
Yeah.
I also see, let's see who else
Brian
we got.
Kaspar.
Brian, good to see you, my friend. I think you were at Frisco Connect yesterday, so we appreciate you being here. Good to see you guys online with us. Guys, here's what I would like for you to do. Make sure you check in with us. Let us know if this is your first time tuning into the Who You Know Show. Put hashtag first time. Also, let us know what you're searching for. So if it's project management, QA, accounting and finance, just put a hashtag next to that. That way we can identify what you're looking for and what you're searching for. And we like to give awards on this show for our top engagers. So last show, in third place, Mark, who did we have for our
I love
top
this
engager?
one because she's my fellow
She's
Illinoisan,
up
Lori
north.
Oken at 11. Lori, congrats, Lori.
Let's go,
All right,
Lori.
Lori.
In second place, Foster, who did we have second place?
Cat Alexander.
Cat.
Catherine Alexander.
All right.
That's what I'm talking about. And in first place, with 82 comments,
Oh, yeah, it was
coming in
contest.
hot,
Way out in front.
It was no contest. Sean Welsh.
Sean. That's what I'm
Congratulations,
talking about.
Sean, by
And
far
just a
and
real
ahead.
quick plug for Sean. He's got a show coming out very, very soon. He's going to be collaborating with Mark on. It's called, what is it?
It's called the Vet SOS, Veterans
SOS.
SOS show.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Vet SOS. So we're excited about that. We'll be bringing that to you very, very soon. Super pumped and excited about that. Guys, we got a ton of giveaways on this show, and you got to make sure you hang to the very end to get them. But we've got job search webinars. We've got 5 free Impulse post analytics. We've got free ebooks and audio books and all kinds of things we're going to be giving away on this show. So make sure you're engaging in the comments and hanging with us throughout the show. We always like to bless this show with a prayer for the listeners.
We're
so
gonna
Foster,
do
will
that.
you do us the honors?
Yeah, I'd be glad to do that. Okay, guys, bow with me. Father God, we are looking for a job. Most of us that are here, all of our listeners, a lot of us are here to help you guys do that. We thank you, Father, for putting us in that space, and we ask that you bless us moving forward. Open those doors and help us know that that's the door that you open and not somebody else. In Jesus' name, we pray for the help. Amen.
Amen. And I'm super grateful. We've got a lot of people that are back to their cash flow. So let's get our money guns ready.
Let's get them guns ready. Get your guns up.
It's
All
been
right.
raining here, y'all.
I know you got your awesome shirt on, UT, but guns up. All right, here we go. We got Tim Ross.
Woo woo, let's
Joel
go.
Fry. Paul Haggerty, he's on the show here. Hey, Paul.
Paul,
Mark Phillips.
congratulations.
And last but not least, Pauline Garrett. Congratulations to all of you. There are so many more up in the top of the comments. Make sure that you go and connect with these folks and ask them what worked for them, what got them landed. More importantly, as I always say, ask them if that company is still hiring. Ask them for a connection. Help them
Pay it
help
forward.
you, right? Help them help you get your foot in the door. So talk to them, connect with them. Congratulations, y'all.
Absolutely. Congratulations. And let's just go ahead and rock and roll. We got our first guest. Super excited to introduce you guys to Marty Gilbert. Marty
All
Gilbert
right,
is the
Marty.
founder and CEO of NorthShore Executive Networking Group. His marketing and general management background has helped job seekers more effectively promote their value to employers. If I can get a warm who you know welcome for Marty Gilbert.
Marty Gilbert.
All right, Marty.
All right,
Welcome.
Marty, super pumped and excited to have you here with us. Welcome to the Who You Know Job Networking Show. My first question for you is all about your NorthShore Executive Networking Group. Can you tell me about that and why you started that group?
Sure. The NorthShore Executive Networking Group, or oftentimes referred to as NSANG, is the largest job search group in the country. We've got over 9,400 members. I started this group about 12 years ago when I was in a job search myself. I landed rather quickly. I pulled together 5 other people who were either in the middle or latter stages of their career. But once I landed, I kept the group going. There was just so many great things happening. And over the course of time, I was working full-time 50 hours a week, doing this initially as a side gig. But I decided 3 years ago to leave the corporate world and do everything just all about NSENG. The group today is over 9,400 members. In 2021, we had over 508 members land new jobs. And these are great jobs.
Wow.
Because
That's a lot of cash flow.
That's a
Woo,
lot.
okay.
Yeah.
Hold on, mic drop for that. And I gotta say, I love
That's
that
a mic
because you
drop.
were in the job search. You started this group because you were in it, and then here you are. You said what? 12 years later.
Yep.
12 years later, you've got that pay it forward mentality. I just love that, the spirit. And I like on your background there, you've got the what the hell approach to job search. So I want to know, what the hell does that mean? Like, what is that all about? Because you even have that like trademarked, right? What is that?
I did, yeah. The U.S. Department granted me a trademark about 3 years ago. I've developed this approach that is really founded on what the hell do you have to lose by doing things that other job seekers aren't. Because let's face it, 90% of the job search is about marketing, right? You got to be able to market yourself, and you got to differentiate yourself, which means you've got to do things that are a little bit different than everybody else to get the visibility, the credibility, and the engagement with the companies that you want to get in front of. And too many people follow everybody else. They spend 90% of their time answering online ads and only going after companies that have jobs. And that's absolutely the wrong approach. So the what the hell approach, and there's 13 what the hell moves, is all about doing a lot of unorthodox things that get you indoors, that get your network working for you, that get you going around HR and talent acquisition teams, because they have, let's face it, they have no power, they have no decision-making authority, they have no money. Okay, the money and power and decision-making authority is sitting with the people who own those jobs. And so I've come up with a lot of ways to get to those people. And of course, your network, LinkedIn, researching is one vehicle to get there. But I got to tell you, 90% of the job search is marketing, and 90% of the marketing is your ability to write well.
Woo! I knew I liked this guy. I like this guy. Okay, hold on. I just lost my mic. That's okay. Hey, Marty. So one of those. What's one of the most? You said there's like 13.
Yeah.
What's one of those 13 that's like the most like home run that you see that really knocks it out of the park?
I refer to it as the trickle down approach. Okay, so if you have a job that you are very interested in, the first thing you want to do is to be able to communicate your value. But you got to get it in the hands of the people that have the power. So let's just say it's a director of finance role. All right, well, obviously, one of your targets is the VP of Finance. If there's a CFO, that's another target. But let's say you're going to report to the VP of Finance. That person's not the only one who's going to weigh in on the decision. You also need to get the message out to the VP of Marketing, the VP of Operations, the VP of Sales, maybe the VP of HR, and probably about 5 or 6 people. And you got to have a really strong cover letter and email this outbound campaign to all of them. Because all you need to do is to get one person to do the right thing. And that right thing is to take your email, take an interest in it, and now forward it over to the hiring manager. Or they forward it over to the person who's doing the phone screens. And you believe me, you will get that phone screen because they're getting this message from somebody who's far more senior than them. We know phone screeners tend to be very junior. And when they get that, they're going to go, well, I obviously have got to interview this person because I've just gotten an email from the VP of Finance with an FYI, and they interpret that as an order to go ahead and take action.
Nice.
So,
That sounds a lot like the job search Trojan horse to me.
Yeah. Just to clarify the point, when you email that, is it individually or as a group?
Yeah, individually. I can tell you, I have had so many coaching clients that have gotten rejected by the ATS within 15 minutes, and we've still gotten them interviews because nobody's asking, did you get rejected by our ATS? Absolutely not. All they know is they got a great email from you, resume looks good, and they now want to do something with it. But most people don't do this. Okay. It's very interesting. Recent studies, Resume Labs has done one of them with thousands of people in the study, and they found that 38% of job seekers don't send cover letters, and it's just a simple email that's differentiating you and telling you why you're a candidate you ought to talk to. Definitely. But 83% of hiring managers and recruiters say they want those cover letters because it enables you to show what it is that makes you different and better than other candidates. So there's a huge, conflict here because a lot of job seekers go, I don't want to spend the 2 hours it takes to write one. And I say, the problem is you have the wrong approach to your cover letter. And I coach a lot of people on how to do customized cover letters in less than 15 minutes. And
Marty,
so
what should job seekers know about the ATS? There's a lot of fear and people don't know what they're dealing with ATS. What should they know?
Well, for one thing, your resume has to be formatted properly for an ATS. Now, no two ATSs are created exactly alike.
Boy, that's the truth.
There's over 30 different, makers of them that are all over the place with different companies. So you never know which one you're dealing with. And so my approach to that is you got to prepare your format to the lowest common denominator, which means prepare it for the most stringent of ATSs, and you'll get read. So no color, no underlining, no hyperlinks, okay, no italics. I got a list of 25.
Yeah.
But so that's part of the equation. And most important, you got to have keyword matching, right? You've got to have words in your LinkedIn profile, but in this case, in your resume, that are aligned with the keywords and key phrases in that job description. I mean, this is search engine optimization at its finest.
Yep.
And that's what draws attention to your profile. It also gets you through the ATS.
Well, I'd like to just kind of dive a little bit deeper on that, because I do see job seekers who are still doing these things. They're doing everything that you just talked about and still getting that Dear John, email that says thanks but no thanks, right? That's just a canned automated email, because what we know about the ATS is that these companies put a lot of barriers in place, right? They put disqualifications, right? If you didn't have certain amount of experience, or you didn't have this, or you didn't have that, or you didn't have this qualification or that qualification, or maybe too much pay you were looking for, whatever. They have a list of things that they are looking for to weed people out with that automated canned email. And so as much as the keywords and all that stuff, you can get a canned email that says no thanks, but if you get person involved, now we're cooking, right?
Mm-hmm. This is what the hell move number 4. You've just described it. What do we do when we're faced with that situation? And you should, whether you are faced with it or not, is you got to go around these, because the ATS doesn't get a vote. HR department doesn't get a vote.
Right.
The people with the money and the decision-making authority are the ones that are going to make it happen. And that's why you can get rejected by the ATS and still get interviews, because you get your message in front of the right people.
And job seekers don't seem to always understand that. That's one thing that they think, I've been doing this a long time, where they think, oh, I got that canned email and that's it. That's the end of the road. No, that's the start of your journey.
Yeah.
Like you like going in, understand that you are going in the black hole no matter what. Like you're gonna go in the black hole. Now get a person involved.
Yep.
Right? Get a person involved.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I would say to that point, expect rejection as your first step.
Yeah.
Right? Expect it. And if you don't get it, you get through, then great, right? You can be pleasantly surprised, but that's your first step. Like you said,
100%.
The journey starts right there.
Yeah.
What I will say is that the reverse is true. A lot of people think the moment you hit submit, it's game over and sit and wait.
No.
Right. My feeling is at the same time you're hitting submit to that online ad, send it out to 5 or 6 people in that company that you've already identified, and send them each individual personalized emails describing why you're a strong candidate. It doesn't matter that you wouldn't be reporting to them. It's, hey, I'm really interested in this, marketing manager role, this VP of finance role. Here are some reasons why I'm a strong fit, and you got to connect the dots between your achievements and key requirements of the job. And I'd appreciate if you put, forward my email and the attached resume onto the appropriate person, so that I have an opportunity to have a conversation with them. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people want to get that email off their plate. So what do? They send it to the right person for you. So like I said, you can get rejected by the ATS and get interviews like crazy if you take this kind of approach.
So you touched upon cover letters, which I agree, super important, right? I mean, it's in life, right? You write a letter when you're trying to get buy a house here in DFW right now, because it's so competitive, right? So you write a letter to the owners. What about thank you emails and follow-ups? How important are those? Do you have some thoughts there, and some, maybe even some statistics on whether or not they're being written?
Yeah, they are very important. And I think a lot of job seekers in general do write them, but I think a lot of them don't write them very well because they are focused on, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I'm really interested in the opportunity. But to me, this is that last opportunity to emphasize the 3 most important things that you bring to the table that you have identified are the most important requirements of the job. Just reiterate it, put it in writing, because there's a good chance that that email that you send as a thank you is going to get forwarded to some other people. You have to assume it. But you just don't send it to one person. You send it to every single person that you've had a touch point with. And it's reinforcement as to why you're a candidate.
Okay. So, Marty, I'm going to tell you a little bit about our strategy that we use, and I want you to take it, and I want you to put it inside of your toolkit for what the hell to job search, okay? So we teach them also, not just with the black and white text, okay? Because that, listen, they're going to get a lot of those thank you emails in black and white text. And the whole reason why they're bringing you in for an interview in the first place is they're trying to get to know who you are as a person, the human, the actual human being behind the words and behind the text, right? So what we teach is a strategy to send in a video email, okay? So you're going to have, basically your thank you, what you were saying in the beginning, which is, hey, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I learned a lot about the company and the culture, and I'm excited about the opportunity. That needs to happen with a smile, and that needs to happen in a video. Okay, and it needs to be 30 seconds, like a video voicemail. Now, underneath it in the body of that text can be your value, what you were just talking about, the three components, the most important things about why you're the best fit for that job. But that will be in text. But up above it, it needs to be that personalized, human, face-to-face interaction. And we see the analytics on those videos go crazy, and those get forwarded all around the company.
Yeah, they get excited. Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
I love
strategy?
the idea. I think it's great because they want to know what kind of person you have, what your personality is about.
Yep.
Right.
It's one of the reasons why, in your LinkedIn photo, you can have up to a 30-second, video.
Yep.
I do it. I encourage all my clients to do it because they want to know what you're like. How do you speak? Are you fluid? Are you fluent? Do you have enthusiasm? Because every role, you want somebody who's got that level of enthusiasm that you can envision putting in front of a group of people to present. And this is a way for them to see that real quickly. Right. So I love the idea. That's great.
Absolutely. Okay, let's talk a little bit about ageism, okay? Because it's one of the things that we see. I mean, that's our audience, right? They're dealing with it. They're going through it. And we do a lot of things to help them overcome ageism. What are your thoughts on ageism? Do you see it being a strong case where you're at? And what are some ways that you would tell a job seeker to overcome and combat ageism?
Yeah, it's a real problem. Okay, and companies are entitled to be prejudicial because you're not yet an employee. You don't have a case, right? But statistics show that over 50% of the folks that are on the job that are over the age of 50 have complained about being discriminated because of their age. And of course, it's really an even bigger problem in many cases for job seekers that are over the age of 50, and sometimes it's coming down to 45 because in many cases you're competing against candidates who might be 10 or 20 years younger than you. You're at 55, you could be competing against a 35-year-old. Okay, and unfortunately, a lot of people, folks that are younger, they think automatically they're on the way up, and they've got far more energy, and they can really do this job. But let me tell you, when the hard times come, they're going to be the first to leave because they don't have that loyalty. And older job seekers are looking for stability. And some of them, they've gotten a $50,000 pay increase because one of their kids just graduated from college, right? I mean, isn't that great? So some of the things that you need to do as an older job seeker, to help overcome this, of course, your greatest attribute is your experience because you've done more than a younger job seeker. You've been through the hard times, you've been through the good times, you've been through mergers and acquisitions. You've had to manage people potentially that are thousands of miles away from you because you've got remotely located teams. A lot of younger people haven't had the opportunity to do this because they just haven't been in the workforce long enough.
Right. So I'm gonna give you a mic drop because what you're saying is, you've got that experience and you need to sell it because facts tell, stories sell. Right? Is that how it goes? Facts tell, stories.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Yeah, something like that.
That's
right. I say resumes tell, but cover letters sell.
Yeah.
Cover letters.
You gotta sell it. You
gotta stop that.
You gotta sell the journey and everything that you've been through and everything that you've overcome.
Especially
in your career.
if it's relevant.
Yeah, because the younger guy, the younger job seeker's doesn't have no stories.
Well, it's like
he's got no.
It's like you always say, Trevor. Trevor always says, your resume, right, going into the ATS and going through that process. I mean, that tells them that you can do the job.
Right.
But it doesn't tell who you are.
What
and
kind of
that's
person
what
are
all
you,
the-
and what kind of
all we're
person are
talking
you going?
about.
Are they introducing to their team
Yep.
and their dynamics of that team?
Yep.
Marty, you've got a lot of training. Okay, you got a lot of training and a lot of things that you got going on for job seekers. Talk to us about the training that you have and what are some different components to that.
Sure. So I've got events going on every 3 weeks. It could be a 2-hour webinar. It could be a 3-hour online workshop. So both of those are online. It could be a virtual meeting. All right. In between, I'm doing a tremendous amount of coaching. I have job search coaching packages, and I have one-on-one customized coaching that can do any number of things for individuals. It can be rewriting your value proposition, critiquing your LinkedIn profile and your resume. It could be, helping you understand how to really use the full power of LinkedIn, because the average person probably uses less than 40% because they just don't know about a lot of these other features and capabilities. I give them a job search plan. I provide interviewing skills. So there's no end to the number of things, and it's all catered specifically to the needs of the individual. And I now have, companies coming to advertise their jobs to my members. Nice. I love this because my audience, the 9,400 members, the bulk of which are in job search. We've got about 2,500, 3,000 that have actually landed and sitting in great jobs. But my audience is really primed for companies that are struggling to find good talent, particularly in the Chicago area, because while I have, members all over the country, probably about 75, 80% of them are right here in the Chicago area. So anybody who's looking to fill positions in Chicago and can't find the talent that they want, they now are advertising to my members as a way to get that talent quicker, because the folks in the group all come from great companies. I do a lot of speaking at large university groups from Harvard, Yale, Cornell, Wharton, University of Chicago, Michigan. So I'm constantly getting an influx of people that have great backgrounds, because I want to keep that talent pool really high. And that's attractive to companies that are looking to find good candidates.
I love it. Okay, where would the job seekers connect with you to find some of those resources? Where do they need to go?
They just come right onto my website. It's nsenginc.com, nsenginc.com. I also encourage them to, also join our LinkedIn group. It's a very active group, a lot of discussion, great opportunity to share ideas with other job seekers. And you can get 50 new networking contacts in less than 50 minutes, because everybody in this group gets it. They know there's an advantage to having more connections, and I'm a big advocate of LinkedIn. I sit on a lot of connections myself. And I send out newsletters. The moment you join, the membership's free. There's no cost. You immediately connect with people on the group, and you get 3 free webinar recordings from me of 60 and 90 minutes in length. So there's no downside. And there's tremendous resources. I have a lot of free things on the site, and there's things you can pay for if you want to participate in some of the webinars and longer-term workshops.
Well, we like free 99 around here. That's what
I
we
heard
both.
that, yeah.
Yeah, we like free 99. Okay, I got one last question before we go to some giveaways and things like that for the audience. So what do you think are the 3 biggest mistakes that job seekers are making? Like, if you had to bullet it to 3, what are the 3 biggest mistakes?
I would say one for sure is they spend too much time answering online ads. That should never take up more than 10 or 15% of your job search week. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, it consumes so much of their time, and that's not a good way, because the core part of the day should be spent networking, researching, connecting with people and having interviews. Okay. The second item is, in my mind, too many people are not accessing the hidden job market. Now, the hidden job market at any point in time can be 30 or 40% of all the jobs, because there are always a large number of jobs that are sitting up here and they haven't gotten out there yet, right? They're not online. So that's why this outbound campaign is so important, because you can make yourself visible. You take the odds from 100 to 1 down to 1 to 1, and maybe they never post the job, right? You got to seek the market.
A lot of times they don't.
Like, I'm hiring right now, and it's not online. Nobody knows about it.
You don't have to network.
Just saying. I mean, I'm hiring right now, but I'm looking for somebody specific, and I'm not advertising it. So.
And wouldn't it be great if that person somehow just reached out to you by happenstance, and you go, oh my God, this is what I'm looking for.
That's it. So yeah, the hidden job market does exist, guys. There
Alive and well.
a lot of small companies, you know, they're hiring, they're always hiring, right? They are literally always looking for something. You just need to find that pain point, right? What is their pain, and how do you solve that pain, and figure out if you're the right person. So I love that. Number 3, what's your third?
Number 3 is you need to think of yourself as a new product launch. Too many people don't think of themselves that way. They think, I'm a job seeker. I have to act like a job seeker. Well, you know, I've launched a lot of products, you know, during my career because I grew up in marketing. And whenever we launched a new product, there was all kinds of homework we did beforehand. Not one penny was spent on R&D until we defined what is that product, what's the value they bring to the market, who's the audience they're trying to reach, and how do you get the word out to that audience? And the only difference between a new product launch and somebody looking for a job is that now you are that new product. And you need to go through that exercise of identifying who are the industries I want to reach, who are all the companies in those industries, and who are the 5 or 6 key people in every one of those companies. And now how do I message to them so I get the word out on me, a totally unknown product? And if you take that approach, you will always get far more visibility and engagement.
I love it. I love it, Mike Drop.
Yep. And what's the value you bring, right?
You've got to get a company to buy you. I mean, your products, your services. What do you do, you know, to solve that company's problems? And you got to get a company to pay for it. You know, at the end of the day, they're spending a lot of money when they bring you on and they sign that dotted line. They're spending a lot of money. So, yeah, I love that approach. That is amazing. All right, we got some giveaways we want to do. I know you've got some job search webinars you want to give away. Is that right?
Yep.
How many of these do we want to give to the audience? Are we giving it to the whole audience, just a few people? What are we doing there?
Well, if you want to select 1 or 2 people, I'll give whoever you select, you know, 3, you know, they can choose from 3 of my webinars.
Okay, I love that. So what I need you to do in the audience right now, I need you to put hashtag who you know, let's go in the chat, and I'm gonna pick a few lucky people in here. We're gonna give away some webinars. That's what I'm talking about. While we're waiting on those comments, and you guys make sure you take a look at those. While we're waiting on those comments to come back, let's see if I got another. Oh, Paul Haggerty says it's raining mics. Love that. I'm going to give some shout outs. So we got Paul Haggerty.
Oh, we got some real rain going here, too.
Love it. We got Jim Whistle.
One winner.
Yeah, who's the winner? Who do we got?
We got Thomas.
Nicholas.
Thomas.
Thomas was the first one. And then Oliver Nerera.
All right. Congratulations. You're going to get you some webinars. All right. We're going to hook you up. And guys in the audience, if you can do me a big old favor right now, I need you to take a screenshot. Okay, this is your content for LinkedIn for today, right? I need you to take a screenshot of Marty and tell him what was the #1 thing that you learned from this episode. What was the most impactful thing that he said? The #1 mic drop, okay? I want you to post that thing all over social media, share it, and let him know how much we appreciate him being on the Who You Know Job Networking Show. Marty, we appreciate you.
Yeah, we do, Marty.
Thank you, my friend. Have an amazing day.
All right, you too.
All right. Guys, we got to go to a real quick break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We got Bob Tiede in the house.
We got Bob.
If anyone is out there and you're a realtor or you are looking to get your real estate license, it's a very low cost entry, $300 to take your real estate course online. Inexpensive compared to like a college. EXP is $150 to join and it's like $84 a month. So relatively speaking, these are very inexpensive costs. If you are interested in that and you want to work with me as a realtor, I'd love to have you join my team, and you want to hear about the model, then go to join10xempire.com, and I do this opportunity call every Tuesday. Would love to answer your questions and tell you more about what I'm doing. If anyone out there is interested in working with me.
Well, this is my very first LinkedIn video. Hi, my name is Michael Halford from Dallas, Texas. For the past 20 years, I've helped companies build award-winning sales teams through servant leadership, innovation, and strategic planning. I've also been directly involved in over 150 new store build-outs, mostly in the hard surface industry. And I helped grow one company from 15 to 380 stores in 16 years. I'm looking to grow my network here and become more active. So please tag any professionals you know below on LinkedIn that you think I should connect with. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Who You Know Job Networking Show, where what you know is important, but
Who you know? Who you know can make all the difference in your job search.
And it will.
it definitely can. Well, let me tell you who I know. I know this guy named Bob Tiede, and he's been on the staff of CRU for 51 years.
Ooh, golly.
Mike, back to that.
Currently serving on the U.S. Leadership Development Team. Bob's blog, Leading with Questions, is celebrating its 10th anniversary and is followed by leaders in over 190 countries. Guys, let's warm Who You Know welcome for Bob Tiede. Let's go, Bob.
Welcome, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, Bob.
Fantastic to be with you.
Man, it's so good that you are here, and I love all of your background, all of the quotes and everything you got going on there. But I want to just dive on in. I know you do leadership development for CRU. Can you talk to us a little bit more about that? What is all that about?
Well, CRU is the new name as of about 8 years ago for Campus Crusade for Christ.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I don't know why you brought me on. I have no ability to get a new job. I've been with CRU for 51 years. But I'm on the leadership development team, and the mission is simple: developing the next generation of leaders for CRU. And I share that actually every organization, if you're not developing the next generation of leaders, you're in trouble. History is filled with stories of organizations that were once vital and flourishing, and 15, 20 years later, they're a shell of themselves. They may not even exist. And when you dig around, the reasons are complex, but almost always one of the reasons is there was no intentional development of the next generation of leaders. And as a result, they failed. So having just the time of my life working with our emerging leaders. And my job is really recruiting outstanding leaders from outside of CRU. We currently have about 120 leaders from outside of CRU that coach every other week, one of our CRU leaders on 3 different coaching teams.
I love that. Okay, so, and what I think is so important there is that you're absolutely right. You got to teach the future generation, and, you know, they need a lot of teaching.
A lot of teaching.
They need a lot of teaching. I need a lot of teaching. Shoot, I'm learning from these guys over here. They teach me stuff all the time.
Well, and it surprises me because when we first moved down here, we went church searching, and not to get off topic too far, but to support your point, we went to several churches, and they didn't really have a thriving children's ministry program, and that was a red flag to me, right? That was a big red flag to me.
Yeah, you got to, teach the future generation.
Right, that's exactly right.
Get them on point. All right, so you got a new book out. It's called Now That's a Great Question. It starts with a confession. What are you confessing in this book?
Well, my confession is that for most of my career, I was a benevolent dictator. Not out of evil intent, but my only paradigm of leadership is that a leader needs to tell staff what to do. A leader needs to give direction. It was my only paradigm. Now, I did say benevolent. I grew up in a home where I was taught to say please and thank you. So Foster, if you'd been on my team, I wouldn't have said, I wouldn't have said, Foster, go do this. It'd be, hey, Foster, this week we're working on this. It would really be great if you could please do this.
Right.
And when Foster did it, I not only said thanks to Foster at a staff meeting, I might say, Foster, stand up. You all need to hear what Foster did. And but again, it was my only paradigm of leadership. But in 2006, I found a new book. I love books.
Bobby, you know what? That reminds me of a question that I have behind to support what you just said. You said good leaders, because I remember you saying this in one of our groups. Good leaders ask questions rather than dictate.
Yes.
Because when you think of the dynamics of that, hey, if I'm asking questions, I'm curious about what you think. Tell us about that a little bit. Tell us why you say that.
Well, Foster, what happened to me was in 2006, I found a new book called Leading with Questions by Dr. Michael Marquardt, professor at George Washington University. That book was a page turner. As I read it, it was filled with stories of leaders literally from around the globe. Many different cultures, ethnicities, parts of the world. But it shared in such practical ways, not only how they led with questions, but the questions they used.
Right,
and Foster, you're exactly right. That leader who asked their staff, hey, what do you think we might do about whatever the topic is on the table?
You hire subject matter experts, you need to be asking them,
So talk to us about leading with questions in 30 seconds.
Whenever I speak, I love to ask the question, who here would like to learn to lead with questions in 30 seconds? Well, almost every hand goes up. And the reason I ask is so many times I imagine people to think that leading with questions are like a nice idea, but I'd probably have to go get a master's in questionology. It's not like practical. So when they hear we can do it in 30 seconds, they're like amazed. So Trevor, are you willing to see if we can do this?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Foster or Mark, do you have a second hand on your watch so you can time us?
Mark's got us,
I got it.
Okay, here we go. Trevor, my first favorite question is, what do you think? Second, what else? Third, what else? Fourth, what else? Trevor, you have them memorized.
Yeah, what do you think? What else? What else? What else?
Okay, timer. What do we do?
That was 11 seconds.
Oh my goodness!
Bob, you've been doing this. You got exercise, man.
Who would like to learn to lead in 11 seconds? Now, some in the audience may be a little skeptical, like you can't ask, what do you think? What else? What else? What else? And I said, well, not in that rapid fashion, but imagine a conversation. You ask somebody, hey, what do you think about? It's some topic on the table, and they're going to give you an answer. When they pause, you say, wow, that's really good. Well, what else? They'll speak more. When they pause again, you can say, wow, hey, I've got to take notes. Please, what else?
Tell me more about that.
Yeah, they'll give you more.
And then
what I discovered was in the past, even when I asked somebody, hey, what do you think? When they gave that first answer, I then moved on. And what I've discovered is that it's really the third and fourth answer that's their gold nugget, their very best. And I was like that proverbial gold miner when I asked, hey, what do you think? And then moved on. I got close, but I missed it. The proverbial gold miner that mined all his life quit. Somebody comes later and says he was within 6 inches of the gold vein. Well, you got to dig a little deeper with those what else's.
Right.
So, Bob, are you telling me, I got all these notes and look at it. I got all these notes and all these questions and everything. And are you telling me all I needed to do was ask you what else? Is that it?
In so many ways, yes. Yes.
Well, what else?
Oh, there are so many things. This is about job search, right?
Well, okay, let's talk about that for a second. I want to frame this up because, the job seekers, you need to be asking questions in your interviews. Mm-hmm. How can they use this in the interview process? And what are some questions you think might be beneficial to be asking in that interview process?
Yes. Well, first, so often, and again, you guys meet way more people than I do who say, I'm going on a job interview. Whenever I have somebody tell me they're going on a job interview, I say, well, what questions are you going to ask? And so often they look at me like, what do you mean? My job, they're going to ask the questions. My job is to give great answers.
Wrong.
And I share, of course, you need to give good answers, but the candidate who actually asks the best questions is going to appear to the interviewers to be more intelligent than the candidate who only gives the best answer. There's just something about asking great questions that communicates, it maybe even at a subconscious level, hey, this is a candidate we need to pay attention to. It separates you from the rest.
There's an element of that you do not know because you do not work for that company. You need to find out. You ask those questions. You dig into, pick his brain.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, and a lot of times those answers that you're giving to their questions are so canned. You rehearse them over and over in your mind, and they are canned. So it doesn't really show engagement or intelligence. I mean, to a certain extent, right? It does show intelligence. But
what else?
If you ask great questions, to your point, that shows engagement and intelligence.
It does.
Let me share one of my favorite questions that a job candidate can ask. Now, the great thing about questions, you don't have to be original. You can borrow them, steal them. You hear a great question, write it down. And when I read, this is another of my favorite books, Just Listen by Dr. Mark Goulston. In the book, he shares this story. His daughter was going on a job interview. So she called Dad and said, Dad, I'm going on this job interview. What question could I ask? And he said, honey, write this down. He said, in the interview, at some point, maybe they'll ask, do you have any questions? But even if they don't, ask if you can ask a question. And then he said, here's the question. I'd like you to imagine it's a year from now, and you and your bosses are reviewing the people you've hired this year. And when it comes to this position, they say, get us 10 more like that one. That person was one of the best hires we've had in a long time. Can you tell me what that person did for him or her to get such a rave review? And so he then told his daughter.
That's good. That's good.
He then told his daughter, when you ask this question, watch the interviewer's eyes.
Watch your face.
If they break eye contact and look at the ceiling, you know you will have connected. So at any rate, she goes on the interview, gets done, gets in her car, immediately calls Dad. Dad, it worked. It was exactly like you said. I asked the question. He looked at the ceiling. He came back. He said, I don't have an answer to that, but I should. And she said, after that, we really connected. And so that's a question anyone can ask. I've got more. But that's my favorite.
I like it.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's great. Yep.
That's a good one. Hey, Bob, when you think of the psychology of conversation, okay, if you really want to get a point across, I'm going to tell Bob, I'm going to look at Bob straight in his eyes, and I'm going to tell him whatever it is that I want Bob to receive. I'm going to tell you that. Guys, think about that in that interview, because I have been recruiting longer than I want to tell you guys that I have been. Hadn't come close to Bob's years, but you know what? What you say in the countenance is what my dad used to say. Watch the countenance. It's not what they say, it's how they say it.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Bob, you talk about encouraging leaders to ask their staff about what are the 3 or 4 events that most shape their lives. Can you talk more about that? Tell us more about what you mean by that.
Well, that question comes from Cheryl Batchelder, who was, for a number of years, the CEO of Popeye's Chicken.
Yeah.
And under her leadership, Popeye's turned around. Shares went from $10 a share to $60 a share.
Way up,
and she did it with servant leadership. She wrote a book called Dare to Serve, which I personally think is the best book on servant leadership. Well, in that book, she asked the question, how well do you know your staff? Do you know the 3 or 4 events that have most shaped their lives? Well, that has become one of my favorite questions. And when I hear or read a great question, I can hardly wait to find somebody to ask. In my case, my first person was a guy I coach, one of my crew colleagues. He's the Associate Leadership Development Director for Crew in Canada. His name is Neil. I've known him since 2007. I thought I knew Neil's whole story. But I'd read the question. We were getting on within an hour on a coaching call, Skype, seeing each other. I said, Neil, I've got a great new question. He said, I'd love to hear. I said, Neil, what would you say to the 3 to 4 events that most shaped your life? As I said, I thought I know Neil's whole story, but it turned out I didn't. Neil said, well, Bob, have I ever shared with you that my birth father died when I was 9 months old? I said, no, Neil, I've never heard that story. He said, well, my mother later remarried, and the man who's really my stepfather is a man who in my heart is my dad, because he's the only dad I've ever known. But he said, it's been shared with me so many times. My mom, my grandparents, when they were alive, aunts and uncles, said in the final weeks of my birth father's life, he knew he was dying. He was in a big bed at home, and every day he would ask to hold me. And as he held me, he would pray over me and ask that God, the Heavenly Father, would be a father to this little boy that he knew he would not raise. Well, Neil began to have tears as he shared that and said, Bob, I really believe that first event was his prayers and that God honored his prayers, and that brought me to Christ. And he said, I think God honored those prayers, and it's the reason I'm privileged to serve him in a full-time position today.
Wow.
That question and Neil's answer might have been 3-4 minutes. A relationship that was already good went deeper. And let me just say, every time I ask, the response is not always as emotional as that first time, but it's always fascinating. And I actually label this kind of question as a platinum question. A platinum question is when you ask a question and the person answering actually enjoys answering, and it actually gives them insight into themselves in a way that they, no one's ever asked the question, so they've never processed that before.
That's not a question you hear very often, right? Mm-hmm. But it causes you to really think.
You got to really think, yeah.
And you're like, okay, that's a deep one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a deep one.
I actually now use it in interviewing people. Now I use it all the time, all sorts of situations. But
understood.
You really get to see the inside of a person. They don't have a canned answer for that one.
Hey, in your book, Bob, you've got a chapter about how to say no. Can you talk to us a little bit more about how to discern when no and when yes?
Thank you for asking. Many of us, because we're people pleasers at heart, as soon as somebody says, hey, Bob, can you do this? It's like we want to say, well, sure, I'll do that. And even as we hear those words coming out of our mouth, we're thinking, why did I just do that? I already have too much on my plate.
You want to help me move?
And so I ask people, would you like to know 2 questions that will allow you to make better decisions? And you still can say yes to anything you want to say yes to. Well, the first question, and somebody says, hey, Bob, can you do da-da-da-da? The first question, could you please tell me more? Sometimes hearing more, it turns out the request is simpler than you thought, or maybe it's way more complex, but hearing more also buys you more time as they're answering to think through it. And then my second
I got to drop
question,
one on that one.
Yeah, that's good.
My second question is, could I have, depending on the request, an hour a day, a week, to give your request the careful consideration it deserves? Now, I've never had anyone say no to those 2 questions. Tell me more. Of course, they'll help. They're happy to tell you more. Could I have the time to give your request the careful consideration it deserves? Well, it honors their request the way you state it, and they give you more time. Now, with that additional time, one of my mentors said that wisdom is placing process between opportunity and decision.
Wait, say that again?
Wisdom is placing process between opportunity and decision. Let me give you an example.
There you go.
I like it.
Somebody comes along and says, hey, do you want to buy my car? And you say, yes. Well, that would be an example of no process. Now, none of us would do that. Even if you were in the market for a car, somebody says, hey, do you want to buy my car? You would say, well, what kind of car do you have? How many miles? Why are you selling it? Has there ever been an accident? And you'd have a few questions. Can I test drive it? That would be the process. So somebody says, hey, can you do such and such for me? Tell me more. Can I have time to give that consideration? And then you take it through a process. Is this something I can do quickly? How much time will this take? Will it affect the family? Is there a financial cost? Does this mean I have to drop something I've already committed to? You take it through that process, you then make the decision. And again, as I said, for the things you want to do, you still can say yes. But this buys you time to be able to then have, like, a lot of us don't know how to say no gracefully, like, off the cuff.
Well, that was the next thing I was going to ask you is, okay, so you've got all that information, you've started to process it, and you're like, okay, you know what, this isn't going to work for me.
Yeah.
What's the best way to deliver that, to tell that person no gracefully, like you said?
Well, with that additional time, most of us can come up with a diplomatic response. So it would be, like Trevor, thank you so much for asking me. As I've given this careful consideration, I realized the commitments on my plate already will prevent me from taking this on. I'd have to back away from a commitment I've already made to do this. But again, I'm honored that you asked. Please ask again in the future.
Mic drop.
I would have loved to do this.
Mic drop.
What a
I
tactful
would have
response.
loved to do this, and especially for you.
What a great tactful response. That's awesome. Hey, so we got a little more time. I just wanted to share with you, Bob, that I had grown up and my family had supported Tom and Karen Virtue crew members out in Los Angeles.
Nice.
And so I grew up in that environment, and so I want to personally get involved with supporting a mission here locally in the DFW area. There's so many campuses here in the area. How can I get involved with your side of the organization?
Well, that is a fantastic question.
Tell me more.
Tell me more.
Yeah. In two ways, we have a giving site, which is give.crewgive, I believe. I may have that wrong. I wasn't prepared for that exact answer, but you can go there. And one of the things that I'm responsible for is raising about $300,000 a year for our leadership development program. And so if you go to crew.give.org, I'm sorry, I'm murdering it. You probably can find it. But if you go there and type in leadership development, you'll find that particular thing. But you can also find numerous staff there. And if anybody wants to email me and even have a recommendation on individual staff they could support in the DFW area, we do have fantastic ministries here. Nothing would be more exciting than to be able to connect you with a staff member in the area that I know would be just so grateful to have a new partner.
There you
Great.
go.
That's fantastic. Yeah, and I did look it up, give.crew.org.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Thank
All
you.
right, Bob, what is the best way for the audience to connect with you, your book, any of these resources that you have? What's the best way for them to connect with you on that?
Well, Trevor, thank you. Everything I do on social media is free.
Free 99?
Free 99.
Free.
Tell me more.
The 4 books behind me are also all free ebooks. If you go to LeadingWithQuestions.com, just LeadingWithQuestions.com, I encourage you to subscribe to the blog. Every Monday and Thursday into your inbox will come what I call turnkey ready questions that you can turn around to ask colleagues, staff, friends, family, clients, prospects. And also at the top, you will see an icon, books. If you click on that, is where you'll find all the books. And they're also available in multiple languages. And Great Leaders Ask Questions, this one, and then the red book behind me. I've also recorded the audio books, and those are available as free MP3 audiobooks, just like your all's program can be downloaded to your smartphone and listen as you walk, run, bike, drive, whatever, sit in the rocking chair. But those are available. And again, everything is free. Absolutely delighted for you to take advantage of it.
Love it. That's a mic drop. So you're going to go to leadingwithquestions.com. Is that the website?
Yes.
Okay, go to leadingwithquestions.com, and so I want to make sure everybody in the audience goes and picks up at least one of these books. Get you the audio book, start driving around in your car, all that good stuff. You know what I'm saying.
Make it light on yourself.
Uni's probably already read like one or two of them.
Okay, so Uni is, she's like...
Oh, yeah, she's a reader.
She reads every book that's mentioned on this show.
Well, this show almost becomes like a book club kind of thing. We feature a lot of authors, right?
We do.
That's one
We
thing
really do.
I've noticed about this show is that we feature a lot of authors. And so, Uni reads every one of them.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
And quick, too.
Uni Elder. She's got that last name, guys, because she is Mark's better half.
Love it.
Explanations always needed, you know.
Guys, if we could take a screenshot right now of Bob, and I want you to use that for your social media post today. I want you to share that thing all over social media and tell him what was your favorite mic drop moment of the day, and go grab one of his books. Go grab one of his books. Make sure to tag him, too, so he knows, and blow him up all over social media.
Give him some love.
Yeah, show him some love. You know what I'm saying? Bob, thank you so much for being with us today. We appreciate you so much. Any last words for the audience?
Hey, I've got one crazy idea for those going into a job interview. Take a roll of duct tape with you. And just set it right out there on the table. Now, at some point, there's not an interviewer live that's not going to say, what's the business with the duct tape? And at that point, you say, I love to fix things. In fact, I have a question for you. Do you know what's wrong if you can't fix it with duct tape? And they're going to say, well, what's wrong? You haven't used enough.
IT job seekers especially, I like that for you guys.
There you go.
Your previous
it fixes
guest,
everything.
Yeah.
Previous guest, Marty, said you have to be willing to do what others aren't.
That's
what
true.
You're doing in that is if they interview 5, 6, 10 people, they're going to remember the duct tape person.
Ooh.
And that duct tape person, they're going to think, hey, that guy, that gal, they're fun.
There you
They're
go.
fun. I like that.
Memorable.
And if
So,
if it doesn't work, you could always take it and tie them up and kind of like I mean, it's got multiple uses.
Yourself and separate yourself from everyone else.
There you
Right.
go.
We have to have that differentiator when we're interviewing, don't we?
Yes, sir.
Bob, thank you so much for being with us
Thank you,
today
Bob.
on the
Thanks,
Who
Bob.
You Know Job Networking Show. Guys, don't go anywhere because when we come back, I promise some more mic drops. We got Daniel Hall in the house. We'll be right back.
Woohoo.
Hey guys, come work for the most innovative company in the world, 10X Incubator. We're launching 10,000, listen to me, 10,000 tech companies in 10 years. If you're a coder, what?
We got
programmer,
coders, we got graphic designers, we got copywriters, digital marketers, biz dev.
you name it.
You
If
got
you
skill.
like tech, love tech,
hungry.
want to be in tech, okay? We don't actually require that you get the jab here either. Just so you know, if you want it, good. If you don't want it, no problem. We are hiring. We want you. If you're good at your job, if you're disciplined, if you want to be paid well, if you want to be taken care of, if you want to be in a 10X environment, click the link below. Give us your resume and a short video, 30-second video. Just tell us who you are. Tell us what you do. We want you. We want you.
Let's go.
We want you.
It's time to pay it forward. Who You Know Nation, check it out. I got an idea. It's actually not my idea. It's not really original, but the movie Pay It Forward, where he's talking about helping 3 people. And if those 3 people help 3 people, and then those 3 people help 3 people, right? It starts to create impact and change. And that's what I'm all about. I've been doing our summit and everything with the Who You Know show now for years. Everything is free to the community. We've been giving for years, and it's always been about impact for me. And so I'm going to ask you for a favor. I'm going to ask you to pay it forward. It's something we always talk about. If we've ever provided you any value, I want you to share it to 3 job seekers, 3 people who are looking for their next successful opportunity. Or the other thing you could do would be to share the link to our summit online. You can literally just do it in a social post. You could post it out there. But if we do this, think about it. We can cause change. We can actually make an impact, and you can be part of that. And I want you to be part of that. We appreciate you. Hope you have a phenomenal, blessed day. And let's go make some change out there in the world. All right. Thanks again. Bye-bye. Welcome back to the Who You Know Job Networking Show, where what you know is important, but
who you know.
Who you know makes all the difference in your job search.
What Mark said.
Who you know? Well, let me tell you who I know. Well, I know this guy named Daniel Hall. And by society standards, Daniel Hall should be rotting in prison. His story is one of going from severe struggle and abuse as a foster youth to being an award-winning foster adoptive parent and creating the only software to export advanced LinkedIn Live or regular post analytics to Excel. If everybody can give a warm who you know, welcome to Daniel Hall. Daniel.
Welcome.
All right, Dan.
Hey, guys. Happy Wednesday.
Yes, it is hump day, and I'm excited you're here. Daniel, okay, so in your bio, and we've had some chances to talk before, but I want you to tell the audience a little bit, like take us back before we get into your business and what you're doing with Peekaboo Analytics and all of that. Talk to us about what you said in your bio. You should be rotting in prison, and what it was like for you, like growing up, and just tell us a little bit about all that.
Sure. When I was 2 years old, my 2 other brothers and I were put into foster care, and it turned out to be a very abusive home.
Oh, no.
There was often times where my foster dad would back me into a corner and say, "You're nothing but a piece of shit. You're not going to amount to anything in life." And then the onslaught of just physical abuse, being locked in a room, just, you know, it takes its toll on you over time.
I can imagine, like, or I can't imagine, actually. I mean, wow. I mean, I don't even know. Like, they locked you in a room?
Yeah, as a child.
Yeah.
That's,
oh my God.
But there was my younger brother, who was a year and a half younger than I was, and my older brother was a year and a half older than I was, and they would tie my brother down to his crib, so he wouldn't get out and move around.
Wow.
And food was often hard to get to as well.
That was my question next.
Yeah. They would unlock the room, put food out on the table, and we would have to go basically steal our food. And then we would get reprimanded and beat because we stole food off the table.
Oh my gosh.
So it's just the psychological chaos. And
like, why would you even foster kids if you're going to treat them like that? That blows my mind.
Yeah, the capability of people. Wow.
You know, Mark, my wife asked me that question, you know, would you ever consider fostering and adopting? And I told her, oh, hell no, I don't want to have to parent a child like I was growing up. That was my immediate response. And now we have 6 amazing adopted special needs children.
Well, before we get to that.
Very, very special children, not special needs, because I feel like at times I'm the one with special needs, because they are our biggest teachers in life.
They are, aren't they?
Can I ask you, Daniel, like, where are those foster parents now? Or, I mean, did they? I mean, I hope they're in prison. Like in your bio, you says that you should be rotting in prison, but like I'm just hearing your story. Like I feel like they should be. So where are they today?
Yeah. I would make the assumption that they've probably passed, since that was over 40 years ago. Yeah.
Oh, if that's the case, we know where they are.
Well, okay. Now let's dive into you even do training. You've trained over 400 inbound foster adoptive families. Tell us about that. And you said you have six kids right now.
6 adopted children. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. Yeah. So our first placement of 2 little girls was very eye-opening for me. It was the first time that I saw through their eyes what my trauma looked like. All the lying and the stealing and just hoarding of food, the behaviors. It was right there in front of me, and you couldn't ignore it. And our oldest daughter, who was just on her very first live stream this weekend with Nancy Barrows, she came to us when she was 8 years old, severely abused. And I remember the day before we went to adopt her, she said, "I don't care if you guys die tomorrow." That's the kind of trauma that came to us. And it's hard not to see right in that moment how much effort that my mom and dad had put into me to make me, a good human being. And I called up my dad and I said, "Dad, I am so sorry. I always thought you were a hard ass on me." And I told him he was my hero, because I saw for the first time through their eyes, what it was like. And there was no training, nothing for our community that would teach the foster and adoptive families what the good, the bad, and the ugly looked like. So taking that foster care experience, taking the experience from our amazing daughter who had all these mental health issues, and trying to help others just, be prepared for what's coming down the road. Be prepared for making sure that you know what your limitations are in life before you even take this journey. And it's humbling, man. It is truly humbling every day when you see your daughter, your scared 8-year-old daughter, talking on a live stream and pouring her heart out about her story and how much she appreciates my wife and I showing up. Man, it's a good representation that chaos does breed success. Because that chaos of me growing up and that chaos of my daughter, where she was, and all that chaos with the behaviors made everybody a better person that was involved in this life that we live.
Daniel, I grew up in a lot of chaos myself, and my father was my hero. But I do want to maybe clarify something here, because and I'm just maybe misunderstanding, so help me to frame this. So in the beginning you had talked about how you were abused, and then you said that your father was your hero. So is this the same person? I just want to make sure I'm not misunderstanding what you were saying.
Good point. So when I was 5, the Halls showed up. The Halls would be the people that adopted me.
Got it.
When I refer to my father being my hero, it's my adopted father.
Your adopted father. Okay.
Yes. My mom and dad, my adopted mom and dad had, they were great balance for each other. There was the disciplinarian side, and then there was my mom, who just had this way of reaching into your soul and pulling out the best parts of you and capitalizing on those, similar to what my wife does today with our children and with me.
Yeah, Mark, you were adopted.
Yeah, I'm.
Talk to us, Mark. I see you over there.
Yeah.
I see you.
I can't.
Oh,
love
man.
You, man. Love you, man. It's crazy how much impact, your parents have on you and in your childhood. That short amount of time. Makes such a massive impact over the rest of the course of your life. I did a post recently, Daniel, and we'll talk about analytics on posts here in just a second. But I did a post and it went viral because it was, you know, I went through at every age, at age, 13, what happened, at age 15, what happened, at age, 16, what happened. And in that very, very short amount of time, like, I had a lot of abuse happen in my life. My parents had split up. My mom was, had a lot of, drug dealers and all kinds of different stuff in and out of the house. She was disabled, couldn't pay the bills. We had a lot of stuff going on, and I got in a lot of trouble early on in my life, and there was a lot of chaos, like you were talking about, tons of chaos. I actually ended up in and out of jail, right? Like you were talking about in your bio. I was in and out of jail at 13, was supposed to be in jail until I was 21, right? And my father came back into my life when I was 16, and I thank God every day for that, because he is the one that helped to transform me and helped to mentor me, coach me, love me, feed me. There wasn't a lot of food when I was over at my mom's. And anyways, So I think it's important, those early on years, you need to have some good structure. And
absolutely. And I had absolute textbook parents. And sometimes when I'm sharing with people, Daniel, I kind of feel guilty because I was so blessed, But what I became was exactly what I saw between my mom and my dad.
So, sorry about earlier. You just got me moving.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
Yeah, so I'm adopted as well, so brother to brother. I hear you, and my parents, my adopted parents, they are my parents.
Exactly.
Don't let anybody ever tell me different. I dare them, right? So the other thing is, I have going on 8, 5, and a 3-year-old. And, your story, that's also what was moving me, is that, like the Bible says, anybody who leads a child astray, tie a millstone around their neck and throw them in.
Throw
them in. Right? So, but it's so awesome to hear that you got to where you are, because God has a plan, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
God had a plan for you, and through your experience, it shaped you to be able to appreciate what you have now and what you had, right? Yeah. Through your adopted family. So,
and make an impact in your society.
Yep. And he uses our scars. He uses our scars. Like, that's why I love in the Bible when Jesus came back, he had the scars. Hey, like this happened. Yeah. It's real, because Doubting Thomas was like, Doubting Thomas is like, I don't know if I believe this. He's like, dude, look, check it out. I got the scars to prove it. It happened.
Yeah.
Right? And he uses those scars and those wounds to help heal other people. So I love that. And you are making an impact, as Foster was saying, with over 400 inbound foster adoptive families. Mm-hmm. And also, I know you're really passionate about something else. Talk to us about Sadie's purpose.
So I have a friend, Amanda Knight, who lost her daughter in the NICU, and she started an organization. Actually, she didn't lose her daughter in the NICU. It was shortly after, when she brought her daughter home, that she had passed. And so Amanda started this organization, this nonprofit called Sadie's Purpose, and it provides all these amazing services to families that are in the NICU. And Amanda and Janiyah Iqbal were the two people. When I first came on LinkedIn, after my biological brother, who was my best friend in life, probably my only friend in life, had passed, these two people just raised me up and just provided me with an amazing network. And Amanda's story of just working with families in the NICU and the organization that she put together, it just, 4 of our children are fetal alcohol drug exposed. Okay. And our youngest daughter spent 2 weeks in detox. And, if she could have had some of those services, like Amanda provides, to these families. I mean, I got to imagine that our daughter's life would have been so much better. But she is such an amazing little girl, all sass, 30-year-old in a 6-year-old body of how intelligent she is. And just to give you an example, you see all these pictures behind me here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All of our kids. And our 6-year-old daughter, she'll have her meltdown. She'll have problems with her coping mechanisms. And then she'll escape into her room for like 20 or 30 minutes. She'll come back with these pictures. And so she'll apologize, Daddy, I'm so sorry. And we'll come in and we'll hang them on my wall. But, you know, we talk about my mom being this amazing person. But she wrote in my yearbook that how proud of me she was, even how, it doesn't matter what kind of trouble I had gotten in. And she reminded me when I was 17, you know, don't look at your life through your successes, look at your life through your failures. And then you'll find your success. So I took that. My wife and I took that. Our daughter will come in and see where she may have had some problems, you know, had bad days. And she'll see those bad days here, but she'll also see how important that picture is and what it means. So it completely flips the script for her on what failure looks like, and she turns that into a positive. And I get to see all the memories back here. So
that's super cool. I love that you do that. And yeah, man, I just anything we can do to support you and your mission, I just love it. I think it's so amazing. You know, Bob, who was just on, you know, talked about, you know, teaching the youth, the leadership, teaching the youth. We got to train them up. We got to get them ready, because one of these days,
example for them.
One of these days, they're gonna have to take care of us, right? So
that's right. Yeah.
You know what I loved what he did with the duct tape.
Yeah.
Because there is a book called "Making It Stick" that has a piece of duct tape on it.
Oh wow!
Yeah. I've seen
By
that book.
Chris Heath. Great book. Great book.
Well, let's kind of change the topic just a little bit here. I want to
Sure.
dive into what you're doing now, right? What you're doing now. You've got a lot of really cool things going on. You've actually been helping this show for a while now with Peekaboo Analytics and your new Impulse Analytics. And what it is it's basically live analytics from this show. So that's how we're celebrating our top engagers. You know, we want everybody to engage in the comments and all that kind of stuff. That's how I'm able to go back and look and see, okay, here was my top engager for this episode. So talk to us about where the idea came from and how you started to put all this together with Peekaboo Analytics.
So I started working with Brian Schulman, who runs 2 shows a week. He's considered kind of the godfather of LinkedIn video. He's been on for 18 years on the LinkedIn platform, and he's posted every single day. And so this past year, in 2021, I hooked up with Brian. I actually do really high-end opening videos for shows as well. And so I offered to do one for Brian, you know, just to help him out. He had my my family on his show, and he treated our children with such respect and dignity. You know, my son, one of my sons is autistic, and you know, he doesn't speak that well, but Brian was just amazing with him. So I wanted to help him out, and that led to Brian saying, you know, I wish I could, you know, get all the comments and stuff for these show. You know, he's just frustrated. So it's like, I think I have a way to do that, you know, and without violating LinkedIn's, you know, user agreement. And yes, we do. We just, my process sits there and watches the show, and it's done. It captures all the analytics, all the comments in there, and then it can break down the hashtags and the mentions and show you who's engaged in your show, more so than the views that LinkedIn shows you. That's just people scrolling past. It can be people scrolling past your
Yeah, because LinkedIn gives very basic analytics, guys.
Yeah.
And even if you go to like Shield Analytics, which connects to LinkedIn, it's still just is going to show you, okay, you had 25 comments, or you had
many viewers,
this many views, whatever. But it doesn't show you to the extent of what this does. So I'm going to just frame up a couple of things that I really like about it. So I get this Excel spreadsheet, and it tells me all the comments, all the likes, and it tells me the name, when, time-stamped, exactly when they commented, and then it even will have their LinkedIn URL so I can respond to them. Like, wouldn't it be nice to be able to go back later and say, hey, thank you for tuning into the Who You Know show. Thank you for watching. Like, I'll get people when I ask them to put hashtag pairing, right? And they do that, then I go back and I send them instructions on how to pair the show. So it's a way for you to maybe even have a call to action. Your audience engages, and then you can go back later and engage back with them. It's really, really cool. So what are some other creative things that you've seen other hosts or other people do with this tool? What are some things that they are doing that maybe I'm missing the boat and I haven't done yet?
Now, gamification of your show is exactly what you're doing on Who You Know. And that is, you're looking at it from a perspective, how do I reward those people that show up? So gamification is one of the things. And probably the most important thing that I found is, my gosh, if you see somebody has dropped off your show after a month or so, what a great call to action. Hey, I noticed that, I haven't seen you on the show or, in the comments, and just wanted to make sure you were doing okay.
Love that. Mic drop.
That is, oh, yeah. You don't need a call to action to check up on your tribe.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And just the ability to see how you're doing with your tribe and building your tribe, that more than ever is becoming important, because we're not getting out as much as we used to, with COVID and everything. So your tribe is online and you're connecting with people online, and it's just a really, really good way of staying connected and being able to reward those people that are really focused on helping you grow.
100%. And for a job seeker, think about this, okay? We talk all the time about how you need to be posting content. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't it be nice to see exactly who's commenting on that content?
Yeah.
And I don't mean just, because you can pull up the LinkedIn and you could see, who's commented. But, like, this is a far better way to see it and to literally be able to engage back easily, right?
Yeah.
So wouldn't that be nice to know, oh, this recruiter just reached out or
viewed my video.
Or even if it's just a, regular old person, someone in your network, wouldn't it be nice to reach out and tell them thank you and say, hey, listen, this is going on in my world. Like, this is what I'm looking for. This is what, how are you doing? Like, just starting to build the relationship. Ultimately, the comments section of a post is a place for you to build and strengthen relationships. It's to have conversations and strengthen those relationships. So this is a tool that's going to just make that a little bit easier to do.
And you can go through those comments and you can search them and you can filter them, and you can do the same thing. You do your hashtags. You can go through and on the hashtag portion of the analytics and say, how many times did I get a mic drop? And you get the count right there of how many times somebody mic drop. If you're looking for people, it's the first time on the show. Hey, I know Trevor's going to go out there and thank people for showing up for the first time.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, right now, if this is your first time tuning in to the Who You Know Job Networking Show, hashtag first time in the comments. I'll send you some love, okay? Let us know.
And what you said, and as well, Daniel, if you think about it, it's the difference of having followers or fanatics, right?
Oh, wow.
Followers or fanatics. When you are posting content and you can probably relate to this, right? Like when you're posting content, people are following you. They're digesting that content. They feel like they know you.
Oh yeah.
But they don't feel special. They don't feel like you know them.
Yeah.
Right.
And in doing so and being able to use the analytics to be more effective,
Do you know how many times?
Absolutely, you can go from followers to fanatics.
Oh yeah, you
Complete the
can
loop.
turn them into a straight fan, because there's so many times where I have people, yeah, absolutely, where they know me very well because I'm posting content all the time.
Right.
Right. They've seen me on a million videos and all this and that. Well, then when I reach out, and I do it in a very personalized way, I'll send them a bomb video in their DM.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm sending them a video with their name on it on a little whiteboard. Dude, the response is crazy. They're like, I couldn't believe you would do that.
You have a place where you can connect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, guys, and you guys say this all the time. Your network is your net worth.
Hey.
Period.
That's it.
You know,
I know what show you got that from.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so real quick, tell us about where someone can go to get more information about these two tools, right? Because you have two different ones. You've got Peekaboo Live, which is for live streams, and then you have Impulse. Am I saying it right?
Yes, Impulse. Yeah.
And Impulse is just for any post, right?
Any post. And
any post.
The great thing about Impulse, you ever catch yourself sitting there going, load more,
oh my gosh.
load more, load more,
yeah.
load more.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
With the Impulse spreadsheet, you can click view right by the comment, and it'll bring you right to that comment right on LinkedIn.
Oh, it takes you right to it, so you can respond to it right there.
It takes you right to that exact comment. Right, it brings up the web page, brings up LinkedIn, and it brings you right into the reply box, and you can just start typing.
I'm gonna give him a Foster. Wow.
Wow, that's really good. Okay, so where do they go to learn more about these two tools?
www.impulse.live, IMPULZE.live, and peekaboo.live, PEAKABOO.live.
.live. Okay, and what we're going to do is, I know you've got some giveaways for the audience today. We're going to give away 5 free Impulse post analytics to anyone, okay? Anyone and everyone who puts the hashtag Impulse or hashtag Peekaboo, right? So go ahead and get that in the comments right now. And then what Daniel's going to do is he's going to use his own tool to find those comments. And are you just going to respond to them? How are you going to do that?
I'll DM them, or they can even DM me. But I'll reach out to them and just ask them to give me 5 posts that they want me to run.
See how cool that is, right? We
and
can
I
put a
don't,
call to action.
I don't need their LinkedIn account information at all.
Yeah, no
I just need a
login
link to the
required,
post.
right?
Yeah.
All right, so I see Brian here, Impulse, hashtag Impulse Live. I see Jacqueline. She's got hashtag Peekaboo.
Peekaboo.
Love that. So, guys, this is how cool this is that with these tools, he's going to reach out to you now. Brian also said hashtag Peekaboo. But, yeah, he's going to reach out. And it just is going to help in multiple ways to build a relationship, right? I just think it's cool. Teresa, hashtag Peekaboo. Love that. Guys, and if you can also do me a big favor right now, I want you to take a screenshot of Daniel on this show. Tell him what's the most impactful thing you learned here today. If he's motivated, educated, or inspired you in any kind of way, he needs to know about it. Let him know. Tag him. Post them all over social media. Let's rock. Let's roll. Let's go. And then we can use the hashtag Impulse, right? We can use that to pull the analytics on
With
it.
a Z-E.
Yeah. Love that. Daniel, any last words for the audience today?
Absolutely. Thank you to my adopted mom, Maggie, for showing up when I was 8 years old, who sat there bored off her ass and looked at all the code I had written when I was 8 years old and just showed up every single day. It inspired me to make that the love. And when we talk about jobs and finding something that you absolutely love to do, so you can have fun. She did that for me when I was 8.
Wow.
So,
Nice.
Love that. Daniel, thank you so much for being here, and thanks for all the love and hooking us up with these analytics so I can better love on my community. I mean, that's what's it's helped me to do is to show love back, and that I think it's really, really important. When they're showing so much love to us, I got to show love back. So thank you so much for being here. Guys, don't go anywhere. We got to go to a real quick commercial break, but when we come back, I promise some more mic drops because the show continues with Briar Dougherty. We'll be right back. Hey, Trevor Houston here from the Who You Know Job Networking Show. And if you're currently out of work and maybe feeling a little past your prime and employers aren't necessarily knocking your door down to hire you, I want to tell you about a free training we have called the Career Transition Summit, where it's going to do 3 things. These 3 secret things are going to help you get back to your cash flow. So number 1, it's going to help you to rehumanize the experience of finding a job. It's been dehumanized. We need to put that human element back in. And number 2, we have this special formula that helps you to get noticed and stand out from your competition. And number 3, we have the formula and the systems to help you to get back to work by saying what you need to say in the interview process so you can close the deal and get your bank account full again. And the best news is it's absolutely free. So if that's you and you're feeling like you're a little past your prime, and we know you're not, and you really want to look as good on the outside as you are on the inside, click the link now to gain special access to this free training we have called the Career Transition Summit. It's going to get you back to your cash flow. It's going to help you to get noticed and really get you feeling good about yourself. So click the link now to get started.
This is my very first LinkedIn video. Hi, my name is Trey Touchstone. I help media companies and marketing departments take individually meaningless pieces of audio and video and craft them into a message. After 8 years of doing YouTube as a hobby, I'm ready to take what I've learned as a video editor and apply it to my professional career. I'm seeking to be more active on LinkedIn, as well as network and connect with amazing people. So tag anyone that you think I should connect with down below. And while you're at it, check out some of my work on YouTube. My channel name is Keeper of Toast. And if there's anything that I can do for you, don't hesitate to let me know. Thanks for watching and have an amazing day.
Welcome back to the Who You Know Job Networking Show, where what you know is important, but
who you know.
Hey.
Who you know can make all the difference in your job search.
who you know? Well, let me tell you who I know. I
you
know Briar Dougherty. She's the founder of Career Organic, author of several resume writing and career transition masterclasses, and the co-author of A Life Measured in Sessions. A big warm who you know welcome for Briar. Let's go.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello, Briar.
I love that. Hello.
Hello.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for being here with us today. This has been an awesome episode, but I want to just dive right in. So you're doing a lot. You got your resume writing, career transition masterclasses. How did you get started coaching and doing that for job seekers? How did that all come about?
Yeah, I had a really early career in New York City. I went to Fashion Institute of Technology for a marketing degree and ended up working full-time, taking crazy credits and like 17 to 21 credits a semester. And
Oh, wow.
and yeah, and also had a full-time job. And so I was working at Crunch Fitness, the 59th Street location. It was one of the largest, it was the second largest in New York City, and really just loved it. Kind of got into the vibe and scaled myself through the company. So I was a general manager by the age of 20. So I was one of 2 female general managers in New York City. There were only 10 locations at that time, and just kind of catapulted. And by the age of 25, I was a regional director running salons and spas within Saks Fifth Avenue for the entire Northeast.
Dang.
Owned the relationship with Saks Fifth Avenue executives.
My God on that.
did acquisitions for like the lower end brands. Like we brought on Macy's, and I did kind of, I scouted real estate for them. And so this was like mid-20s, like loving life, but realizing I had a passion for growing people. And so I had a team of 500 underneath me, and I knew everyone. And I loved that. That really just kind of, it helped me wake up in the morning and really want to go to work. And so that continued to progress, as I've made a ton of career transitions. I moved markets. So I went from New York City to Atlanta, and every single piece of every job I had where I found my passion point was really growing people. And so when I left corporate America, 2013, I had my son, didn't want to go back after that. And I had clients on the side that I was doing resume writing with, friends asking for interview help. And really, I just kind of stumbled into it. And I said, I'm just going to do this part-time, and I'm going to raise my son, and, yay, everything's like rainbows. And then I really loved getting back into work because, I had been a workhorse my entire, young career, and I was missing that piece of it. Still loved being a mom and wanted to find something to balance that. And so coaching for me and, being a part of people's kind of journey just continued to like elevate every day for me. So I had this like amazing family, continued to grow that, and then still had the flexibility of, kind of running a small business, and then ended up scaling that into Career Organic in January of 2018, because it just kind of all blew up in my face in a really good way. So
I love it. I love it. So you kind of, you'd been doing it, and then people started asking you, right? They started asking you for the help, and then you just started to lean into that. I love that.
I did.
Well, okay, so you've been doing this for a little bit now. How long have you been a full-time career coach now?
So in 2015 is kind of when I went full-time.
Okay.
So for those first 2 years, I also had to kind of delay it because when my son was 1 year old, in 2014, I had cancer. And so I got stage 3 thyroid cancer. I paralyzed my vocal cord during the surgery, lots of fun complications with that. And so I had to pause and kind of, start over, and I got my voice back, and I'm a very determined woman, and put it to it. So
yeah, would it be okay if we talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely.
Because this show's also about helping people overcome obstacles, and man, that's a life challenge right there, right? It's not just about getting back to work. Like this is all about that. So talk to me about some of those dark nights that you had to go through, and what you did to get to the other side.
Yeah, I would say that first dark night was finding out I had cancer. When I had gone into the doctor, it was because of a lump on my throat. And, she told me only 5% of these nodules are really cancerous. And so she said, it's going to take a couple of weeks for the results to come back. And I got a call like 4 days later. And so it was 100% cancer. We just celebrated my son's first birthday.
Wow.
And it was the weekend, we had that over the weekend, and then Monday I get this phone call, and it kind of blew me out of the water. You don't plan for this. I don't think anyone plans to get cancer. And then on top of that, I have a 1 year old, and, I'm like, what do I do with my body at this point? Because with thyroid cancer, it's interesting because a lot of people, and I love to say this because of anybody else out there with thyroid cancer, if you've ever heard this, stand up for yourself. A lot of people tell you that this is the best cancer to get. And it's an interesting statement to hear.
That is interesting.
You got the good cancer, and it's like, no cancer is good, in my opinion. So with thyroid cancer, it typically doesn't grow fast. There's typically, they do radioactive iodine treatment in your body to kind of eradicate it. And, I was in the middle of, I had a 1 year old, I was still breastfeeding. And I was told that I'd have like an 85% chance of potential breast cancer afterwards, because if any radiation went through my glands, I would have an increased chance. And I'm like, yeah, that's not an option. So I ended up getting my surgery done. And then, I lost my voice during the surgery. So when I say lost my voice, my vocal cord, unfortunately, there was cancer that had grown up it. And when they pulled it off, it paralyzed it.
Oh my
so
gosh.
One was working and one was not. And it's very interesting because it's hard to describe, but you can't hold your breath anymore because there's like a little flap at the top of your vocal cords that closes and opens for you. And that doesn't function correctly anymore. And then on top of that, I literally couldn't speak. So you couldn't hear me. So if my son was like running out into the street, I can't yell at him anymore. It was a very, so you talk about dark days. That was kind of my, those were my, what I would call fear days. Well, and as soon as I realized, especially after the paralysis and getting my voice back, I realized that all of the darkness was coming from fear. And so when I realized that, I was able to actually address it, hold my thoughts and feelings accountable and not allow that to kind of progress. So I got my voice back quickly. I've had recurrence once and I immediately changed what I was doing. My company name is Career Organic. And so part of that is kind of this journey that I've been on, eating organically, and I don't eat a lot of processed food, any processed food. I cook all of my meals. And so I've been able to kind of eradicate my cancer without doing the radioactive iodine treatment, which is not typical for someone who had the almost 5-centimeter tumor. And so, yeah, it was it's a bit of a lemon in my throat.
So I've got two questions for you. So the first one is, you said hold your thoughts accountable.
I love
yes.
That. Yeah.
What do you? I mean, dive deeper into that. What do you mean by hold your thoughts accountable? What are you doing specifically?
Sure. Well, let's kind of teach here. So when I work with clients, I actually go through this entire exercise, and so it's a process of making sure that each thought you have, which also has an emotional response, right? You have a physiological response to almost every thought that comes through your body. And so we have to hold that accountable, or else we allow that energy and that emotion to just kind of sit unchecked. And so I have a process that I follow and that I teach, and it's, you have the thought. So for me, I'm scared I'm going to die. That was a thought. And so instead of kind of trying to go into like positive thinking, which is more, I can't think negatively about that. That's really not holding your thought accountable, right? That's trying to run away from the thought and the emotion. That doesn't serve anybody because it lives unchecked in your body somewhere, right? And so the second step is to say, okay, I have this thought. I own that I have the thought. You don't have to embrace the thought by any means. Just understand you had it. Don't try and shy away from it. And then understand that you have an emotion that's attached to that. So wow, it's fear. Okay. And this is kind of the epiphany I had. I have a lot of fear. And then you ask yourself in the moment, do I want to feel like that right now? And when you do that, your body actually answers you. You literally immediately have a yes or no answer. And if it's no, you kind of move on with your day. It's okay, well, I'm not spending any more time on that. And you move through.
Nice.
If it's yes,
I'm gonna give you a mic.
You actually ask one last question. And the question is, will this allow me growth, right? Is it going to afford me a growth opportunity if I feel this emotion? And so if that's a yes, then all we do is we check back in, whether it's an hour later, maybe it's the next morning, and we ask it again until it disappears. And the fun part about that is that you have now owned that thought. You've put it in your kind of bucket, right? Yeah. And I think about it and I kind of teach it from this perspective. If you think about any physical harm you've ever been in, super easy to protect yourself and work around it. You never just run away. It's if you're running away, you're running to a car, it's very strategic. But when it comes to emotions, we just we pretend that they're not there, that they're not going to harm us. And so I always kind of tell this story where it's if I put you in a room and I blocked all the doors and windows and you weren't allowed to escape, and I put a ton of fire ants in there with you. It's how are you going to fare? It's like, you're getting bit up, you're going to be stung. And so now it's, okay, I put you in the same room, same situation, but I put like a glass dome over those fire ants. They can't get out, but you can see them, right? How are you going to fare? You're not going to get bit. You're going to be fine because they're contained. So when I think about thoughts, I think about them being still there. We're not running away from them. We're just putting them where they need to be. We're holding them accountable so we can go about our day and we can continue to progress and grow.
I like that. I mean, that's mic drop.
Boom.
I mean, she even had the strategy to go behind it.
That's right. Yeah,
like
get
very,
that
very
dome.
specific. My second question was when you said you got that phone call, right? You just had your son's first birthday. Son or daughter? Son.
I have a son and a daughter, but
you had
my
just
son
had your son's
was one when this
first
happened.
birthday, and then you got that phone call. What happened right after that? Like, you get off the phone.
Oh, I can see it.
Paint that picture.
I can see it. So I was outside, like we had a little patio, and I literally just sat down on the step, and I could barely breathe. And I remember my husband was standing like right in front of me, and he's like, big eyes and what's happening. And I couldn't even say anything. And the interesting part about it was that this doctor was like no emotion, no compassion,
no bedside manner,
understanding of the news she just delivered. And so I was kind of caught in that. And then her urgency to get me into surgery. And so it wasn't just like, hey, you have cancer, we need to talk about this. It was, hey, you have cancer, it's fairly large, we need to get you into surgery ASAP. And here are 2 recommendations for surgeons. Like, that's the conversation. That was it.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh.
Yeah, let's
okay.
Say what?
So, but I mean, it was interesting because earlier in the show, you were all talking about these things that just kind of align to your life and like fall into place and really like kind of part of that God's journey for you, right? And it was interesting for me because I had a really, really good friend at the time and like loved her husband, and he was an endocrinologist. And so I called her, and he knew one of the surgeons. It was like, yes, that's the person you want to go with, which was kind of very cool. And my surgeon, I mean, I don't know if you could see, but it's like I have this itty bitty, teeny tiny little scar on my neck. And a lot of people, if you ever see thyroid cancer, it's like across their entire neck. He did a great job. I mean, and then after my surgery, I ended up, I had parathyroid taken out too. And parathyroid, it's very, very interesting. All these wonderful things in our body that do so much, and they're teeny tiny. Parathyroid came out, and you can't absorb calcium anymore because of that. And if you've never experienced low calcium, it actually makes you kind of fold up on yourself. And so after my surgery, I kept going back into the ER because my body was like seizing up on itself.
Oh, no.
And so went back to this amazing, really emotional doctor who was never available, and ended up calling my girlfriend again. This was texting because I did not, unfortunately, have a voice at that point. And she got me in with him, and her husband, like, I consider him my savior. It's like he literally came to my rescue, was there to help me through all of it, go the non-medical route, which is not typical of a doctor. And like, it all aligned. It is like really, really cool.
It sounded kind of like some who you know moments in there. I mean, I'm kind of hearing some dots were connecting. A little bit of
very much.
Yeah. And God does that, right? The whole who you know thing. Like, God works through who you know. It's through relationships. It's through people. And so I'm gonna give a mic drop for that. I appreciate you sharing your story with us. When you said that, I was like, okay, we can't just go past that. Like, we gotta dive a little deeper.
I've heard from my network, once I start, it's interesting because I never shared my cancer story whatsoever. And I have a lot of different traumas that I've kind of gone through, even as a young woman in New York City and all kinds of fun stuff. And I started sharing these stories because I was doing a lot more online, like events and teaching, and instead of being in the classroom. And people just started saying, wow, like, it's so nice to see where you are, because I'm going through that right now. And I didn't have any hope, or I didn't have that outlook. And so absolutely, I'm literally now an open book about any of my stories, because I do know the power of being able to, one, resonate with someone, but also see that there is an outcome that is not as dark as where you are right now.
100%.
And I think that's super powerful for people.
It gives people hope, and that's what this show's all about. So let's talk a little bit about some of what you do now, because you are an expert in job seekers and in helping them get back to their cash flow, which is what this show's all about. We like to get the cash flow going again. So what do you think is maybe the 3 biggest mistakes that job seekers are making? What are they going through right now?
Well, great question. I actually support, so not only with Career Organic, which, we help the full gamut of job seekers from, early career all the way to executive and entrepreneur, but I also support a student cohort at an organization called General Assembly. Amazing organization that helps professionals make a career transition into tech through like immersive programs. And I would say, working with those student groups, I get a real big case, kind of case study, right? And I'd say number 1 is that the mindset isn't kind of prepared for what a job search actually requires of you. I'd say that's number 1.
Mindset.
They go into it and they're just, they're not prepared for the roadblocks that are going to come, which is, imposter syndrome, lack of experience, being told you have lack of experience, the rejections over and over again, right? Like, you have to be mentally prepared and emotionally prepared for that. Yeah. So that's 1. Number 2, I would say not understanding even just as simple as the ATS and LinkedIn, like SEO, because what I see is that you make those incredibly small tweaks and all of a sudden the world is your oyster and you're getting those phone calls. So like, that's next step is you need to get the pipeline, right? Like, you have to be applying and you have to be making it through the bots and the unimaginative recruiters, because they exist too. And so getting through is like pertinent.
So mindset
Last would be,
and getting seen. Okay, mindset, right? She said mindset's
mindset,
1, getting set,
making sure you're tweaking, right?
So
like paying attention to the details.
Yep.
And then 3, I would kind of go into the interview process is, I loved the tips that I heard earlier, and kind of like the culture questions and like all of these great things. But people prepare more for that than they do the actual, like, just fundamental questions. So like, I give 2 tips for anybody that's getting a job right now is, how do you approach problem solving? So like, what are your headers? It's like, do you identify the problem? Do you then communicate with the team? Like, what's your step-by-step? And then how do you approach projects or like work in general, like a project, an initiative, something along those lines. And so if you don't go into your job search having those 2 answers just to start, it's really hard to formulate, your situational questions and like frame things around and actually sound consistent and confident when you're pulling those kind of past experiences or your coursework experiences. And so those 2 questions, I think, get missed in just aligning, like, I need a step-by-step approach because that is what's going to sell me. And as a hiring manager for 20 years, it is 20 years this year. Wow. I want to know that. I don't care if you don't have all the experience, but I want to know how your brain works.
Good point. Briar, while we're talking about this mindset thing, what's your mindset? How are people handling this great resignation? What's the mindset going on? Because, I'm a recruiter, and wow, the change in the job search.
It's incredible. We call it the great reevaluation, right? Because what's happening, there's a couple of different buckets that I kind of put people in. We have the epiphany, right? So, wow, I haven't been purpose driven. I haven't been focused on the greater good. I haven't been focused on my family And that, I call it life balance, because I don't like to give work too much credit and its own power. So life balance. And so when we look at that piece, I'm looking for more fulfillment. So they're much more strategic and much pickier when it comes to the kind of job they're looking for and the company they want to align with. Then you have the people that say, okay, I'm coming out of, especially with COVID, you have a ton of people that realized, wow, if this happens again, I'm going to be out of work again, right? And so for me, when I support, kind of my tech transition students, I'm seeing part of the great kind of reevaluation or resignation as reevaluating longevity, right? Like, I don't want to be a job hopper. I don't want to have to reinvent my career 8 different times. I need to make this new choice. Technology being a great choice right now, STEM in general, by I think 2037, 67% of the workforce is STEM. And so I think that's a big piece, is people need to be able to have just money in their bank to pay the bills, let alone any extra cash flow. And then I think the last bucket is, our younger generation who is figuring out that entry-level roles can pay 80 grand. They can nowadays, which is kind of crazy to think about, is, there is more opportunity, more money on the table, more ways to sell yourself, right? Because like if you're getting into marketing, for instance, you get a platform underneath you and everyone's going to want to hire you, or you kind of create your own business because people are paying you to present their brand for them.
Wait, talk about that. Hold on. Skirt. Wait.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, so talk about that. You get a brand underneath you. What'd you say? You get a channel underneath you.
Like I get approached. So for Career Organic, I have influencers who have like PR agents who will solicit Career Organic. Oh, we align really well. For one post about your brand, pay us 15, 20 grand. That is a new living right now. Yeah. And so you get enough followers on your platforms, and now all of a sudden you're monetizing it. And that's never been the case before. And our youth is capitalizing on that.
Oh, yeah. Are they ever? You got these TikTok. What are those? The Island Boys. You got them Island Boys.
I'm a little old school with the social media, so
I'm talking about.
I love my LinkedIn, but the other ones,
Yeah, you got a bunch of crazy people out there doing some TikTok dances and making some money, okay? Like,
I'm just laughing because you went there.
Hey, I mean, it's what's happening. It's the real deal. Like, you see some people getting online.
Yeah.
And if you can get the attention, okay, here's the lesson in that. Money follows attention, y'all. Okay? Money follows attention. And if you can get the attention, right, money will follow them.
There's a guy in Atlanta that lives in the hood, and he just goes through hood stuff. I mean, it is crazy.
Just goes through hood stuff.
Okay, I lived in the hood. Okay, I know a little bit about that.
No, there was a guy.
This guy's making money.
Oh, yeah.
Just being hood.
There was a guy that does like haircuts, and he goes out.
And he gives free haircuts.
Free haircuts, but then like talks to them about their life and asks them questions while he's like a barber would just talk to you, but he films it.
It's a new market.
And like, how cool is that? And it's just an interesting concept, but it performs really well, and the guy's making money. So,
well, speaking about money, this is a question that I had kind of keyed in on, because we get asked this a lot, and everybody in the job search seems to want to know. How do you, or what are some of the best ways to negotiate talking about money? Like in an interview, in life in general, but really from probably a career transition or career search standpoint, comp packages, things like that.
Yeah, so it's a question I get just every day. How do I go into it? My first tip is always remember if you've given a number in the beginning of your conversations, right? So this is a big fail. Number one is, you tell someone, well, my number is around 65, and then they offer you 70, and now you want to negotiate. And it's like, that's not how we do it. So I'm fine having candid conversations with recruiters and just saying, what is the budget for this role?
Right.
Yeah. And asking it point blank, you know the budget, give me the number. I need to know if it's in the range and should we actually be talking? And I don't think enough people position that to recruiters correctly because it saves the recruiter time.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you do position it from that perspective, like I'm trying to be respectful versus just get a number and try and, get the top of that bracket. But the additional piece is that you have to remember what you're bringing to the table that could align for growth quickly in the role. And then, you're looking at, there's, Glassdoor, and there's a bunch of different sites now that have kind of that data. And you pull the local market data, you pull the national data, and you see, okay, am I highly confident in being able to just hit the ground running? You should be going for the top bracket. If you are like, I'm a nervous Nelly, I am just scared to even get the job, position yourself toward the lower end of that bracket and then try and create negotiations for performance reviews. And what that does is buys you a little time. Because I have a lot of people that are like, I'm going for this number. And after talking to them for 5 minutes, you're like, are you confident? Like you're going to do the work for that number? Because if you shoot for that, you got to be on your A game day one, right? Like there's expectation that comes with higher salaries and bonus structures and all of that. Mm-hmm. And so that's a real question people like me and coaches in general should be asking is like, is that number setting you up for success immediately? And
I want $250,000, and I bet you better come correct. You better come with it.
It's like I'm gonna need $250,000, but you're gonna need to show me how to do that.
Yeah, you're gonna teach me what to do.
And so it's balancing reality, right? And I think, that's what I tell all of my clients is like I'm deeply rooted in reality.
Yeah, let's get real.
Because that's what's gonna move the dial.
100%. Briar, tell the audience how they can connect with you. What's the best way for them to get with Career Organic?
Yeah, so we have our website, which is careerorganic.com. LinkedIn is a great way. I actually answer my messages on LinkedIn.
For real?
I love it. LinkedIn is my platform of choice. I am the only, so you say my last name Dougherty. But
oh my gosh, I've been mutilating it the whole time.
Everyone messes it up. So I am the only Briar Dougherty, you spell it Dougherty, on LinkedIn.
Okay.
So you can literally type my name in and you will find me on LinkedIn.
Beautiful.
Definitely shoot me a DM. I have an amazing team underneath me at Career Organic. We do free consultations. We do free resume reviews, all of that stuff because we really want to support our community.
Yeah. Well, we love it. Thank you so much for being here. Guys, in the audience, if you can do me a big old favor, grab a screenshot right now. I want you to post this thing all over social media. Tell Briar what was one important lesson that you learned for your job search and tag her so she knows how much she was appreciated here on the Who You Know Job Networking Show. Briar, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Guys, that is the show. But before we go, I do want to make sure we have our ask, okay? There's something that it's real important. We're trying to add more world changers to this show. So if you enjoyed it today, if we can go ahead and pull up that wish list up into the screen, we are looking we're taking applications. How about that? We're taking applications right now. These are some of the world changers we're looking to add onto this show. And yeah, I know you see Will Smith on there. He's slapping people, doing crazy stuff.
Dude.
But hey, listen, I want to talk to him.
Come on now.
I want to ask him some questions.
Well, you should put Chris Rock right next to him.
Yeah, Chris Rock. We got we got Ed Milet up there. We got Les Brown up there. We got a lot of world changers.
Oh yeah.
And so we're looking for people that we can add some more fire to this show. And I've actually got some conversations going with a few of these folks actually right now. So hopefully you'll be seeing some of these people very, very soon. Yeah. We actually did have Claude on the show recently. So she was on the show, just Claude Silver from VaynerMedia. She was here recently. So guys, you can send that in to whoyouknowshow@gmail.com if you know anyone on that list, or maybe you know someone who maybe is not on that list but is a world changer, somebody who's making impact, somebody who's doing big things in the world. I would love an introduction. It's all about who you know. So you can send those introductions into whoyouknowshow@gmail.com. We appreciate you. Guys, that's the show.
That's it.
It's all about who you know.
Who you know.
Bye. Trevor Houston here, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Who You Know Job Networking Show. We hope you've been inspired, encouraged, educated, and entertained all at the same time. For information on our different events, workshops, partners, or partnership opportunities available, check out whoyouknow.show for more details. And be on the lookout for our new mobile app coming soon. You never know how this show could help someone you know? And if we've made an impact or put a smile on your face today, don't forget to hit that share button on your way out. Until next week, it's all about who you know. Bye!